Hi, my name is Scott Thomas. Welcome to Higher Level Editing. These videos are not only for editors, they're also for producers who use Avid Media Composer. I'm going to show you some of the tricks and techniques I use in large, complex, multi-user projects that will bring your editing skills or producing skills up to a higher level. Let's get started. I am working on the latest version, which is in this case 2024.2. But some of the things, if you try them out and they don't work, it's because you may not have the latest version. If you're using the classic, as they now call it, the Media Composer Classic, which is generally like 2018 version, this will be a completely different layout system that I'm going to talk about at the beginning. Now, I'm going to be working on a large project that I've set up over here, and you can see all the folders that are created. This is a standard template layout where you have multiple editors who will work in here. You also have multiple producers that work in here. You will also have various different cut levels. So we have acts that we're working in. This is an American project, so parts or acts. There are scenes that then become acts when they're stitched together. Then the acts themselves will then be stitched together and put into here. And then we'll go into cuts of the whole show and end up with this picture lock. Hooray! They're never locked, but we call them picture lock anyway. Tidying up, I will also use old acts. Try to keep just one sequence, the current sequence, in the acts bin and keep the other ones, put them into the old acts down there. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that I don't have any side bin containers open. I tend to use the project, which is the old way of working, using the project folder to contain everything, and then I have bins elsewhere. Now you'll notice here that I've got 3 bins which are tied together. You'll know how that works, how you can move them around, move that one in between if I wish, and move those around all the time. Now you used to have to open the side bin container to name this bin doc, but now you can just right click and set container name without doing that. I'm using a 2-screen setup, which to me is essential. You cannot work on a large project on one screen, even if you're a producer, particularly if you're working with multi-cameras, which we are here. So this is my layout. I have the project window on the left hand side, and beneath that I have tabbed 4 extra tools: settings, effect palette, motion effects, and markers. I'm not going to be using markers when I'm looking for something in the project. I'm also not going to be using anything in the project when I'm working on settings. So it makes sense to dock these all together, and then I can just switch back to project. I have all my kind of settings and organizational side of things just on this left hand side. I have a number of bins underneath. If I don't want the music to be there, I can bring it underneath this one here. What you will find, of course, is there are restrictions because of the width has been made too big here. I can't put it where I want to put it, which is actually back on the left hand side here. So I'm going to just drag it out, and then I should be able to bring it back in on the right hand side. So if you ever have a problem in moving it to where you want, just drag it out, maybe resize it, drag it back in. So on this right hand screen I have my timeline. Now, one of the reasons why I like to separate the timeline and the record and source screens is to give myself as much vertical space on the timeline as I possibly can. I've got 45 audio tracks here and 10 video tracks that I need to work with. On the left hand side I have my timecode window, which you will see I've made up all these audio tracks all the way down to 25 or so. Now the reason for that is once I get down below that, down to 33, and I start doing 33, 35, 37, 39, is because these are going to be pairs of tracks. They're music tracks. So if I've got 35 and the timecode on there, I don't need to see 36 because it's going to be the same as that. So I'll always make up this timecode window, which you can save in a setting. If I go into settings and user, you will see that there are timecode windows here, which we can name And you can make various ones. So this is all tracks. It's actually now 2 screens, so you can just name it if it's not right. So that's now my 2 screen version, and you can always recall that if you want to vary what you have in your timecode window. To the right of my timeline, I have my ever useful bin that I make up myself. This has all my little things like a 10% zoom in or a cut in. It has, or 20% cut in if I can get away with it. It has various titles. It has effects that I will use all the time using these things like this timeline template. And all these things are very useful. So I keep them close in my Scott Essentials. Let's bring back the pick lock back into it. So that's my layout. You also notice docked in my Scott Essentials is scripts. Now at the moment I don't have any scripts in there because I'm going to be using the AI script sync to populate that later on. So this is my layout. Now at the moment I am in my editing layout. Now you'll notice here this is our workspaces. So I have the defaults which you cannot delete: edit, color, effects and audio. Those just don't suit me at all. So at the moment I'm in editing mode. Now if I just move this, for example, and maybe move this, and then I move away to my audio setting, but don't save my editing setting. Here we go into audio. You'll see there's a different layout. And then if I go back to editing, it's jumped to exactly how I left it before. Now that may be a good thing or it may be a bad thing. But if you want to go back to exactly how you have it as your default, if you click to restore to saved, it will then go back to my save settings here. So if I make that smaller and I go save current, that will stay as it is and I can revert to it. If I move it back to where it was and then go to restore to saved, it's in the wrong place. So it's useful to always save when you're pretty certain you want to keep it that way. So I'm now going to save my current to that. And I'll now do it the other way around and then go restore to saved. It comes back the way I want it. Maybe I want to go to the audio. So what I have here with my audio setup is a very large audio mixer. Usefully on the audio mixer, on the tabs, I have my audio suite if I need to go to that. And I also have my find tool, which is what I will use for script later on. Again, if I'm looking for something in a script, I'm not going to be using my audio mixer. And if I'm using the audio suite, again, I will not be using anything else. So dock things together that are not in conjunction with other stuff. Let's go back to my audio mixer. Now what you may have noticed is that these bins up here move. So I have a pick lock bin and a music tension bin. I don't have my AI test that I had in before, but if I click on editing and change back, you'll notice my bins have moved down here where the audio mixer was, and I've added my AI test. Now how does that work? Well, let me show you. These are the association of bins with your workspaces. So if we go up to Windows here and go to bin layout, you'll see that I have an audio bin and an editing bin layout up here. Now I can do a new one as well. So let's say I need to go back here and add my AI test back in here. Let's get it from the project. It's under my editors bin, and there's my AI test. You can notice it's closed when I'm in the audio workspace. I'm going to open that up and I'm just going to drag that to the bottom of here. So there we now have the 3 bins. I'm going to save that as a bin layout, new bin layout, and we'll call that audio 2. So we now look at the bin layout that we have. We have audio, audio 2 and editing. Now if I go back to, as I showed you earlier, restore to saved, look what happens to those bins. They turn into the original 2. We haven't got the AI test anymore. So what I want to do is bring that back, or every time I click on the audio, I want the AI test to be back in here. So what I want to do is associate it with it. And here's the trick. Go into workspaces, and at the bottom you will see properties. Click on that and this window turns up. If you just want to do the bin layout, you can change it to audio 2, which is the one I created, and click OK. And there it appears, the AI test down there. And now whenever I change back here and back to audio again, that bin layout is recalled. If I want to link another setting when I change to the workspace over here, I can do that. Let's say I want to change the keyboard to resolve when I change into audio. Now, importantly, you need to get the capitalization right of the words when you're using this. So it's a good idea just to copy that version. If I go into Windows, Workspaces, I'm still under Audio, Properties, and I'll just move this back across. Link to name settings, paste my resolve settings, click OK. That's now gone to resolve. If I go back to editing and select the other keyboard, so at the moment I'm on Scott again, you can see it, the tick is there. If I now go back to audio on this side, you will see that the keyboard has changed to resolve. If I had anything else named resolve in these settings, it would change those too. So it's so useful having these workspaces that you can switch between and your layouts, that I suggest that you put these onto your keyboard. Now I have them on shift keys, so if we open my keyboard here, go Control 3. Give me a bit more space here. Control 3 opens your command palette. If you go onto workspaces here, you'll see at the moment all these have none next to them because these are newly created workspaces. I do a drop down, you'll see I have audio HLE and I have editing HLE. These now become ANH and ENH. I'm going to go on to the shift side of the keyboard here. I'm going to put the editing, which is W2, onto shift A, and I'm going to put the other one on shift S. So hold down the shift key, drag into there and put it where you want it. And there we have it. Those two are in. Make sure you always close your command palette and close the keyboard too. Now this is going to get a little bit confusing because it's going to switch keyboards back to resolve. So I'm actually going to change that back into properties, none. Still going to link to my bin layout, that's not going to change, but it's not going to link to this resolve name setting. So we'll just do that and we will save current. I'm going to confirm on my keyboard that Shift A is editing and Shift S is my audio editing workspace. Now make sure you click away from the user setting before you do this. Just click on the record side, and if I hit Shift A, it turns into my editing workspace. If I hit Shift S, it goes into my audio setup. I hope you found some of that useful. In the next episode I'm going to be talking about the timeline, so hope you come back for that. Thanks for watching.